right, I am calling to order this 2023 Memorial Day commemoration. Welcome to today's ceremony, and thank you for attending. I'm honored to be speaking with you today on such an important occasion. We're here today to honor our service members who have lost their lives throughout our history and to remember the sacrifices they have made in the cause of duty, honor, and country. However, those who have died over the last nearly 250 years for the freedom we enjoy deserve that we not neglect their ultimate sacrifice, because we may be taken back by the times we live in, no matter how challenging they may be for many. In the end, any who are available to participate and listen this morning are fortunate by being able to honor those who have gone before. The root of Memorial Day is memory. For me, that memory is not only my father serving on Okinawa or my uncle in Normandy, who both survived, but the name of my mother's beloved first cousin, Eugene Mandyberg. I never knew him, but can't forget him. He was killed well before I was born on the last day of World War II, actually shot down the day after the war in the Pacific ended. But he remained a presence in our home and in the lives of our family. A picture of him sat on the table in my Aunt Zelda's apartment. For her, my mother, every day was Memorial Day. Like so many other parents, touched with the grief, the shock, the tears and toll of bearing a child she never got over his loss and never lived another day without thinking about her brave boy. Lately, much of the day's meaning seems to have been somewhat lost, and the never-ending reports of violence so contagious in this land, so filled with calamity and casualties. It often seems as if we are served a daily buffet of homicide and horror. I read today meaningful words by the social commentator Mike Barnicle. I now share with you. We move from school shootings like Columbine, Sandy Hook, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High, and Uvalde, to everyday mass shootings in Las Vegas, Orlando, Sutherland Springs, El Paso, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, or some location within easy driving distance of our own front door. And it seems the impact of death is quickly diminished by the volume and frequency of such events. We lost more than 1 million Americans to the plague of COVID. Too many of them died staring at a wife, children, close friends from a hospital window. Their final days and hours spent with it without the human touch or contact of next of kin. Grief knows no single cause. Loss arrives with no regard for zip code, gender, race, or income. Both seem to be lasting, often muted by the passage of time, but ever lingering. Memory, however, might be different. We might be threatened a bit by the deluge of daily, often hourly casualties, but how do we reflect on tragedy in time to brace ourselves for the next one? Can Memorial Day include the memories of those who have fallen to the gun or rifle here in America? Can we reflect on the lives lost to COVID? Memorial Day is, after all, for the fallen and often forgotten. I think it can. We contribute to Memorial Day by considering how do we make it a better country, make the sacrifice of our fallen count. The brave men and women who died in uniform did so that we could be free and able to remember. And so we pause to remember the fallen and forgotten. Our order of proceeding shall be to hear from our distinguished guest, retired United States Coast Guard Master Chief, Chief Petty Officer James Bach, followed by a performance of the songs of our service branches, Army, Marines, Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard. At the conclusion of the ceremony, please rise and stay in place for the raising of the flag and withdrawal of the color guard. We will now enjoy the band playing of the national anthem and America. Please rise. Thank you, band. Wonderful. We welcome here with us Master Chief James Bach, Police Chief Carl Dietz, Fire Chief John Frazier, our Pepper Pike Police Honor Guard led by Chief Dietz, who is joined by Executive Lieutenant James Colbert, former U.S. Air Force Corporal Patrolman Neil Alstrom, firefighter Brian Nitch. We also welcome our members of City Council who are able to join us today, and particularly we want to welcome and thank the wonderful members of our service department who turned out early this morning to set all of this up and answer the question, where are you going to sit? So thank you very much to the service department in particular. I also want to thank particularly Brandon Duval, Director of Bands, Orange High School, Jake Robinson, the Assistant Band Director, Robin Bonner, Lionette Coach, the members of the Orange High School Marching Band and the Lionettes, all who have taken the time to especially prepare for today and to be with us. At the end of our ceremony, we will have Jaden Levinson and Catherine Snyder-Lavera, Orange High School juniors and Pepper Pike residents, who will honor us with a special presentation of taps, played as echo taps. We acknowledge the veterans, family, and friends who are with us today, especially those who have lost loved ones while serving in our nation's military and who come here today to honor them and remember. I ask them all to rise and be recognized. The service members we honor today came from all walks of life, but they shared several fundamental qualities. They possessed courage, pride, determination, selflessness, dedication to duty, and integrity, all the qualities needed to serve a cause larger than oneself. Many of them didn't ask to leave their homes to fight on distant battlefields. Many didn't even volunteer. They didn't go to war because they loved fighting. They were called to be part of something bigger than themselves. They were ordinary people who responded in extraordinary ways in extreme times. They rose to the nation's call because they wanted to protect a nation which had given them much, us, so much. We must always remember that we are joined together in an ongoing experiment in democracy. Those we commemorate today died so that this experiment in democracy could endure. The outcome has never been certain, and that uncertainty surrounds us these days. Success requires people of good faith to work together to succeed. Our nation must never be about divisive and hateful rhetoric. It is not about political party or stoking of fears or class rivalry or resentment. Our democracy, our nation, is today challenged from without and within. The fight of those we honor today continues. From the soldiers who shivered and starved through the winter at Valley Forge, to the doughboys crouched in the muddy trenches of France, to the platoon who patrolled the jungles of Vietnam, and the young man or woman who patrolled the mountains of Afghanistan. We remember and honor them all. We also honor the sacrifice and courage of the Ukrainian people who today fight not only for their own freedom, but in the end for ours as well. Those we commemorate today died so that we could see this country succeed in its mission as a beacon for ourselves, our children, and the rest of the world. Please remember, what you say matters. What you do matters. Never be afraid to be bold in defending our nation and its values from those who seek to do it harm, from without or as critically from within. We can and must be engaged and shape the future. We remember the words spoken by our greatest president, Abraham Lincoln, when he said, "It is for us the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus so far nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave their last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government by the people, of the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth." Your presence here today and that of the people gathering all across America is a tribute to those lost troops and to their families. It is a way to say, we remember. We have memory. We remember and honor them all. Be inspired by who came before. Their sacrifice must not be allowed to have been in vain. We owe them no less. Thank you for attending today. This is an important time for our nation. We are being tested and must always remember that we are joined together in an ongoing experiment in democracy. Let us always remember. The United States Coast Guard was created by Congress in August 1790 at the request of Alexander Hamilton and is the oldest continuously operating naval service of the United States. As Secretary of the Treasury, Hamilton headed what was then known as the Revenue Marine, whose original purpose was collecting custom duties at the U.S. seaports. The modern U.S. Coast Guard was formed by a merger of the U.S. Revenue Cutter Service and the U.S. Life-Saving Service in 1915. Later, it was joined by the U.S. Lighthouse Service, which was merged into it. As one of the country's 6 armed services, the U.S. Coast Guard has deployed to support and fight every major U.S. war since 1790. Please join me in welcoming Master Chief Petty Officer James Bach, United States Coast Guard retired. It is truly a great privilege to have the Master Chief with us today. As a Master Chief, he held the senior enlisted rank of the Coast Guard. Master Chiefs constitute the top 1.25% of all enlisted members of the maritime forces. To achieve the rank and position of Master Chief, as did our guest today, is truly a rare feat. Master Chief Bach's last assignment before retiring was as Atlantic Area Command Master Chief, the senior enlisted leader for the Atlantic area for the U.S. Coast Guard. The Coast Guard's Atlantic Area Command oversees about 1/2 the world. All Coast Guard operations east of the Rocky Mountains, including the Caribbean, as well as Coast Guard out-of-hemisphere operations in Europe, Africa, and Southwest Asia, were under this man's tutelage. Prior, he served as the Master Chief in District 9 as the Command Senior Enlisted Leader. District 9 is us. That is the Great Lakes region. Completing basic training in Cape May, New Jersey in 1989, he began his career attending Radarman Ace School in Yorktown. He has had assignments from Hawaii to California to Virginia, Florida, and back again as he advanced in rank. Master Chief Bach is a 2000 graduate of the Coast Guard Chief Petty Officers Academy. His awards, while numerous, include Meritorious Service Medal, Joint Service Commendation Medal, 4 Coast Guard Commendation Medals with O device, 3 Guard Achievement Medals with O device, Coast Guard Meritorious Team Commendation, and numerous other personal and service awards. Master Chief Bach hails from Fort Lauderdale, Florida originally, and is married to Melissa Bach, herself a U.S. Navy veteran retired. He currently resides in Westlake, Ohio, until we can convince him to move to Pepper Pike. Master Chief, it is a pleasure.
Thank you, Mayor.
Before the Master Chief begins his remarks, I would be very remiss not to note for you that the Master Chief learned about this assignment about 20 hours ago. Our original speaker today had a medical issue and was unable to attend. In the finest tradition in the military and a can-do attitude, Master Chief responded to a call out and has so graciously come here to be with us today. And we can't be more grateful. Thank you, Master Chief.
You got it. So who knows the motto to the U.S. Coast Guard? Nobody? Semper Paratus. Always ready. I only need 20 hours to get a speech going. So normally we recognize all the VIPs, but I'm going to recognize all the VIPs the way I want to do it. Good morning, citizens of this great nation. That's everybody. And thank you for the introduction, Mayor. Appreciate it. It's such an honor to be asked to say a few words today. I'm especially honored to have fellow service members in the audience with us today, and thank you for your service. Today is a day of remembrance, which honors the brave women and men who have sacrificed their lives in service to our country. The mayor hit on a word yesterday we were talking called success. This is usually a success. And as I thought about this speech, I said, what is a success? What does that mean? How do you get success? Success takes service and sacrifice. And that's what Memorial Day is about. Service, in the context of the armed forces, embodies a profound commitment that extends way beyond oneself. However, let us not forget the unwavering service and strength of their families who have suffered an irreplaceable loss as well. Service is a powerful force that has the ability to transform individuals, communities, and even the world, fostering a sense of unity and purpose and shared responsibility. Through service, we can create lasting change and leave a profound legacy of kindness and compassion. We honor the sacrifices of our brave armed forces and their families for their unwavering dedication for protecting our freedom through service. In 2014, my wife Melissa, who retired from the Navy in 2012, and I, we visited Normandy, France. We wanted to honor the 70th anniversary of Operation Overlord, or as we know it, D-Day. I know, that dog loves me. We watched all the history specials, and we couldn't wait to visit and experience the museum and the memorials. The day we visited Pointe du Hoc stuck with me, and I remember that particular day every Memorial Day as I do today. I peered over the edge of a 100-foot cliff at Pointe du Hoc, and I tried to imagine what it must have felt like to be one of the soldiers on a British landing craft looking up. I couldn't imagine anything except the words, "No way." I didn't exactly say "no way." It was a little bit more colorful than that. Okay. I was imagining German bullets and grenades being dropped from the top. No way. The grappling hooks fired from the landing craft with rope ladders attached were soaking wet from the ocean waves. The nervous soldiers, also wet from ocean spray, carrying weapons and gear, trying to climb those ropes. And those ropes could be cut at any moment by the enemy. It is mind-boggling to stand at that edge and look down, knowing that 77 Rangers were killed in action, 35 reported missing, and 150 people were wounded. 75% of the Rangers' force was not fit for duty after that attack, and they did it in 30 minutes. The dedication and devotion of the soldier in this one battle put everything in a quick perspective of what Memorial Day is about. Sacrifice. Sacrifice and Memorial Day hold a deep significance in honoring those who have served and have given everything in defense of our country. This was never more evident until we visited the American Cemetery Memorial near Normandy, where 9,386 American service members are buried. The names of 1,557 are inscribed on the memorial wall of missing and marked with little rosettes, indicating that those members have been recovered, identified, after the memorial was constructed. This cemetery, it holds 9,000 servicemen buried on soil that is not ours. These fallen service members have families that may have never visited the gravesite. These families that sacrificed at home so that these service members could fight for our freedoms. There are 26 American cemeteries and 29 dedicated memorials in several countries around the world. It is the final resting place for over 140,000 American servicemen and women, and more than 94,000 missing in action, lost or buried at sea, that never made it back to our soil. As we commemorate Memorial Day today, we gather to honor the brave women and men who made the ultimate sacrifice to our nation. We also extend our deepest gratitude toward their families, whose strength and resilience inspire all of us. We recognize the immeasurable loss they have also endured, the void left in their lives, and the profound impact that their loved ones had on our country wherever they may rest. Their spirit lives on in the character of our nation. It serves as a reminder of the profound impact that they had on our lives and the legacy behind in the defense and protection of our freedom. Our freedom is a precious gift. It comes at a significant cost. It is not something that is handed to us. It is earned and preserved from the commitment of countless individuals who have fought, bled, and even died to protect it. However, it is important to acknowledge that behind every soldier, sailor, airman, and Marine, there is a strong network of family support. Families endure separations, cope with uncertainty, and provide the emotional backbone that sustains our service members. They offer unwavering encouragement, love, and understanding, often facing their own challenges, all for the greater cause of preserving our freedom. Together, our armed forces and their families embody the spirit of resilience, unity, and sacrifice, standing as a testament to the strength of our nation and the values we hold dear. Their collective dedication reminds us that the cost of freedom is immeasurable, and we should never take it for granted. May this Memorial Day be a time of reflection, remembrance, and gratitude. Let us honor those lives we have lost by embracing the values that they protected. As you gather with your families today and have a picnic or barbecue to pay remembrance to the folks that gave us freedom to enjoy those gatherings, remember the families. They also sacrificed for the same ideals. Thank you.
Can you imagine if he had had 48 hours to get ready? That was wonderful, Master Chief, and really appreciate your very meaningful words. We'll now, Brandon, can you hear me? Okay, because now we're going to hear a performance of the songs of the Army, Marines, Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard, performed by the Orange High School Band and Lionettes. Thank you, band. Thank you, Lionettes. Wonderful. Today, as we close, we also hear from still another veteran, that of Civil War veteran, our 20th President, James Garfield, born just a few miles from here in the then Orange Township. Speaking at Arlington National Cemetery in 1868 for the first national commemoration, former Union General and sitting Ohio Congressman Garfield proclaimed, "We do not know one promise these men made, one pledge they gave, one word they spoke, but we do know they summed up and perfected by one supreme act the highest virtues of men and citizens. For love of country they accepted death, and thus resolved all doubts, and made immortal their patriotism and their virtue." Please now rise for the raising of the flag and playing of taps, followed by the firing of the report in remembrance of all who have fallen. Thank you all for attending, and have a wonderful Memorial Day with your families. Thank you all. Have a wonderful day.